JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Wednesday, January 28th, 9/18. Really quick rant, talk about the markets. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P in the green here. SPY is off the pre-market highs, up about over a tenth of a percent. NASDAQ futures up 0.6%. You had Seagate after the close yesterday. Everybody's waiting for the first shoe to drop in regards to what's going on with the memory landscape, right? The SanDisk, the Micron, and Seagate at first a little concern, dipped right after earnings and then reversal and just monster move. And then overnight, ASML, right, the largest European country outside of NVO, came out with their earnings, monster report, huge profits, margin, revenues, billions of earnings, $38 billion in back orders, some crazy numbers. So it just kind of adds to that whole AI story, growth story, that it just is going to continue on. The question marks looks like so far all indications, all systems go. But that's some of it. Yesterday, kind of like a carbon copy of Monday, right? Markets ramped to highs by about noon, chopped around for the rest of the day. And oddly enough, like the last 10 minutes or so, I don't know, it was 5 minutes, a red candle, big red candle, both sessions, Monday and Tuesday. So maybe, I don't know if that's people positioning, but we'll see what happens here today. S&P's up 5 days in a row. So at some point, there's going to be a little pull. I don't like massive green gaps. So I don't know what'll happen here today. This morning you have POTUS out with a tweet talking about Iran. I mean, here we are. The year is 2026, and battle plans are broadcast through the entire world. So anyway, supposedly an armada is going to Iran. Who knows what that all looks like? So hopefully it's just more rhetoric similar to the geopolitical stuff that's gone on between the U.S. and Iran over the last couple of years, where it's more just posturing, some kind of resolution comes out that's favorable for the Middle East and for markets. So, that's overall markets. Today's a big day, right? So if there's a day that you would say, okay, this could point market direction for the next couple of days or even weeks, today is it. We have the Fed. The Fed's not going to offer any surprises, or no, they're not going to offer a rate cut, but if they do, it'll be a surprise. But to me, it won't be market moving unless Powell comes out with some crazy comments. So hopefully not. Hopefully hold status quo. And then earnings, right? So Microsoft, Meta. You also have IBM. There's other names after the close today. So to me, those are more important. The big buzzwords of the last year or so, the CapEx, right? Everybody's looking at CapEx. How much money they're going to spend. Certainly something to keep an eye on, especially when it comes to Meta. We've seen over the years some of the big moves in Meta have become because of crazy CapEx spend. So they've been kind of learning from that, not spending as much. But then you don't want to worry that there's a decline year over year. I think that'll be kind of the mark of, I wouldn't say the top, but people start getting a little worried if that CapEx spend starts to get pulled in, especially Google's probably the big one. So that's overall markets. To me, hopefully no crazy surprises. Markets find their footing. I think I put Tesla reports after the close today too. So of the three names, the three of the Mag 7, it's like 10 or 11% of the entire S&P's weighting reports after close in those three names. So if there's big swings in those, the underlying S&P is going to have a large swing. All right, that's overall markets. Also something to note, there's been headwinds, right? What other wall of worry can the market climb? The U.S. dollar taking on the chin the last couple of days. Some of it, like the government shutdown looming over the weekend. We'll see how that plays out. You also have, people saying the U.S. trade is not as like it used to be, right? People fleeing the U.S. investments. Who knows what that is? You also have that the yen carry trade, right? The U.S. supposedly there's some intervention. People worried about the yen and what's going on in Japan. So supposedly some of that is factored in. Who knows what it is? For now, it's just impressive. The market's kind of holding its ground. All right. And then last but not least, take a look at commodities, right? I mean, gold up another 3.5% today, $5,300. Silver at 114. You have to think one of these days is going to be large moves, 5-7%. There's going to be big headlines, right? It's going to be like, oh, gold sold off the most in whatever years, but it'll be still over 5,000. So, all right, rants are other days. All right, now just individual names. First, really quick on SERV Robotics, obviously one of my favorite names over the last 6 to 8 months. Finally went back and added some more strikes yesterday. I was looking at June 25s. I talked about getting those, but to me, I kind of want to, we haven't had a major reversal yet, right? Yesterday was kind of like the first decent day to the upside. I say decent. It was up 7%, but in the context of its previous moves, that's not a large move for SERV. So I didn't want to go into the June just yet. So I got those February strikes. It rallied into the afternoon, tested 13. I was able to lock some of those out, some of those in for over 50%. And I'll hold the rest. If it's the start of a multi-day rally, and I've talked about this in the past, the move that I had in November from single digits all the way up to 13, the move it had back in August from single digits all the way up to 18. So those moves have happened. It's just a matter of being in it. And once you're in it, those calls are not up 50%, they're up 500% or 1,000%. So hopefully that's the scenario here. If there's continuation today, I'll look to get some June strikes, and then I'll continue to lock some in on the way up. Still have the March strikes as well. You know my thought process there, and you know what? I didn't even have the short interest. I pulled it up yesterday. I didn't even realize it's up to all-time high here. 15.2 million shares are shorted on SERV Robotics, 24% of the float. So to me, it's like, I get it. People, they're shorting the name. Maybe they think it's just a novelty, right? Who thinks that the business will exist in the future? To me, I just look at what they just did. They just acquired a whole new vertical, whatever buzzword you want to use, in regards to getting those robots into hospitals. So, I mean, just crazy stuff. I fundamentally sound too. It's like some of these growth stories that don't have profits yet. Typically, they're debt laden, right? They've had to do offerings, or they've already come into their IPO with a lot of debt. And SERV doesn't have debt, and they have, well, now $280 million in cash. So there's a lot to like about the story, in my opinion. So I just don't get how there's such a huge short interest. So the good thing is, if I'm right, it creates a larger swing to the upside. So we'll see if we get that today and some follow through. All right, SERV Robotics, and then Arista Network. So had those 152.50s, closed some in to cover costs for 100%, then more for 200%. And then yesterday, it was kind of fluttering around at the open. So I didn't want to be in a spot with the expiration on Friday where I lost the profit. So I closed the rest out for 60%, I guess. And then I went and got next week's strikes once it found footing. Then I was able to close some of those out for 60% or 50% or so, and I just held the rest. It's gapping over 150 here. I think it trades north of 160 in the coming days. We'll see what happens here. It was 153 in the pre-markets, down here 150. I'll probably look to close more of the 160s, depending on what those look like, and then just hold the rest. You have the backdrop. You have the CoreWeave NVIDIA news on Monday with that $2 billion investment. That now you have Seagate, ASML earnings, kind of just, again, adds credibility to this AI boom not ending just yet. So because of that, a name like Arista, which is front and center on these data centers, just, yeah, I'm just surprised it's not at all-time highs. So maybe maybe the market has it wrong and it starts to get repriced. That's my hope. So that's the plan there. I'll lock some in at the open and just hold the last freebies on those. Zoom, disappointing yesterday. Couldn't do any follow through after its rally on Monday. But you take a look where it's come from last week. I mean, it was under $80. Rallied 10% plus on Monday. So to see it down just 1% yesterday, of course, I'm in the call, so I would love to see it gap and go. Didn't happen, but at least it didn't have a crazy pullback. So we'll see if today's the day, maybe it finds its footing. I think it trades north of 100 in the coming weeks. If it finds footing and starts to rally today, I might look to get some more calls. Moderna, disappointing yesterday. I'm watching Arista Networks, and Moderna's up in 51, and then I turn around, it just lost it. Then on the 50, 49, 48. So I still think this is going to have some legs this year. So I'll continue to look for opportunities to trade this one. I think it trades 60, 70, 80 plus ahead of data, right? Because I think they have two different reads this year. So not going to go on a rant on Moderna, run out of time here. SSOS, potential bull flag setting up here. Still have my strikes on this one, 12.25. That's the big spot from last week. So it gets some footing there. I think it's off to the races. Other names to watch, I keep, Reddit. I don't know if it's part of the software names just getting destroyed. It's still down here 195 in the pre-market. So I'll be watching that one. ServiceNow, I keep looking for some calls to play for its earnings after the close today. I was looking at the 155s. Now I start looking at maybe I'll get next week's strikes to 160s, because if it has a 7, 8, 10% move after earnings tonight and tomorrow, those calls might pay. But I'll be patient. No reason to rush. If not, I'll just sit on my hands and revisit tomorrow. I think that's, Altimmune. Why didn't I talk about Altimmune? So Altimmune rallying, I think it was the third, fourth day in a row to the upside, over $6. I didn't want to be in a spot where I miss out on the big move. So I added March strikes with the plan to close the rest of my Februaries. Already riding those Februaries free with profits. Then sure enough, after the close, and the thing about Altimmune, it wasn't after the close, it was after hours close. I think it was at like 8 o'clock. They announced the filing, or at least a filing came out, $75 million offering with a new institutional investor. I don't know what that is. Stock got pummeled in the overnight hours. It's another one of those shorted name, divisive, carries their capital, had a big short in 2024. I think they're probably still short. So just, guys, it goes to show how bearish folks are. They're trying to instill sellers down there at 470 in the overnight hours. Bounce back in here, 580. Barclays came out this morning, initiated outperform rating, $20 price target. I don't want to miss this one like I've missed with turns and GPCR. So not saying today's the day it goes, but if it does a red to green, you could say it's going to be a boomerang slingshot and this thing off to the races. Looks like it's already going to do that as audio here. It looks like it's going to open green before the open. All right. So have a great day, folks. I'll be back. Rock and roll.